Tara, if these two senators, Murkowski and Collins, do end up backing Hegseth, what kind of an impact would that make?
Well, I think that would be incredibly disappointing to a lot of Americans, particularly women, who are looking at these two senators to stand up for them on behalf of women serving in the military and women who have suffered sexual assault, given the allegations against Pete Hegseth and the things that he has said about women in combat. You know, Murkowski and Collins have notoriously been the ones who have broken away when they need to, but they also acquiesced when it came down to Brett Kavanaugh back in 2018 to some degree. So it's difficult to predict, but I would think in a situation like this, it may be difficult for Collins and Murkowski to support a Hegseth nomination like this. And Hegseth can afford to lose them, but he can't afford to lose four. So between those two and Joni Ernst, who I know that the MAGA Republicans are putting a big pressure campaign on her back in her home state of Iowa, threatening to potentially primary her in 2026 if she doesn't support him. They're putting a lot of pressure on them, but, you know, the only hope can be that they stand up for the Constitution and their role to advise and consent, not to pledge fealty to Donald Trump when they see a pick like Hegseth, who is wholly unqualified to be Secretary of Defense for a litany of reasons.
Looking at all of the president-elect's picks so far, who do you think has a tough path to Senate confirmation, and do you see any of them being essentially shoo-ins?
I think some of the cabinet offices, not to say that they're lesser cabinet offices, but like agriculture and things like that, or HUD secretary, they'll probably get in with no problem. I think the most important ones that you're hearing people complain about and express the most alarm about, obviously Secretary of Defense, Tulsi Gabbard as DNI would be a disaster for our intelligence community. She, again, is unqualified for that position. And Robert Kennedy Jr., another one, when you have Nobel laureates coming out, which they never do, saying that this guy is unqualified and would be a disaster as well as HHS secretary. Those are really problematic positions for them to be in. And but the problem is you have Donald Trump's transition team flooding the zone. And will the Senate Republicans have enough courage to block all of those people in the best interest of the public?